Hey, so this video is, I don't even know how to describe the title of them, but pretty much what I was just thinking of right now was that there's different dimensions that we live in at the same time, and different sciences and systems of metaphysics and divination. They're referring to one or more of the dimensions and the characteristics of those dimensions. And remember, those dimensions have a certain type of physics to them, meaning that the energy flow in that reality has rules and principles that it works within. So one thing I was thinking about was when we get into a physical paradox, like we'll say something that doesn't make sense, or we'll experience something in the physical that like gives us a trauma, you know, like it makes us feel like, what the heck, what just happened? And that's usually when the flow of time, according to your awareness, gets disrupted. So you can't account for like the last 5 minutes, or something's happening in your world and you're focused on whatever's going on, and then all of a sudden something happens and you're like, wait, how did that happen, right? What that is a discontinuation of the storyline of what's happening within your mind. And so the storyline in the physical reality is linear and sequential, meaning that like one event happens, then the next event, then the next event, and then that's where we get the idea of, you know, past, present, and future. Things continue on, and that flow. Well, when we experience something that disrupts that flow, it gives our brain like an error, and then sends fear or some kind of signal into your body to like reassess, right? And so what's interesting is that when you think about the soul star and its 3 prime layers, main layers, so it's a particle where the inside of the particle, the very center of it, is soul energy. Just around that, on the outside of that, is emotional energy, and then around that is mental energy. And what's interesting is that the mental energy on the outside is polarized and it's divided up. So what happens is it interacts with other particles that are also divided up and polarized. So what you get is this idea that like everything is separate, even at the minute level. So, but in the emotional realm, things are connected. Things start to share a connection that seems to be a bit beyond what the physical mind can comprehend. Like how someone can feel someone else's pain, or that kind of thing, right? Like you get an intuition that someone's gonna call you, and then they call you, or whatever, right? And then at the at the soul level, which is like the 5th dimension, at that level, there is no difference between you and the other person, or you and the thing that you're observing. And so when we experience 4th or 5th dimensional energy, it can create a mental paradox. So what I'm saying is that your brain that's running on linear time has a hard time understanding how things connected or disconnected without following a sequential order, right? We call that logic, or something that just makes sense or doesn't make sense, right? So, but our human brain is actually able to comprehend the other realities, but you got to be able to differentiate between the physical world and the non-physical, or else you pull in non-physical energy into the physical and create a paradox. So you create a trauma. And so how all this came about was I was thinking about how everything in the physical needs to have like some kind of opening to receive something else. Like you don't just teleport food into your stomach. It has to go like into your mouth and down, right? But in the magnetic field, when one magnet changes, the other ones change. And at the soul level, the change is known instantly, and it already exists all around at the same time anyway. It's always there. So it kind of exists and doesn't exist. I mean, it all exists, but how it doesn't exist is from the physical perspective. The physical perspective needs to see all and everything as separate things, or else it can't comprehend it. Because it isn't the right container for all of everything. It is just a very simple, basic container. But that simple, basic container can grow and can accommodate flow through from soul. And that's what you want to train the mind for. And how you train it is you teach it about non-physical reality, which is metaphysics. And this non-physical reality, like I said, has a paradox, or creates paradoxes. As long as you can handle it and separate what exists in the non-physical reality and then what exists in the physical reality, then you can like work with it. But the funny thing is that in the physical reality, if you zoom down small enough or look out far enough, you start to see higher dimensions. So the ancients said the heavens are up there, and then like Jesus is like, as above so below, right? Like what's happening there is happening here. So when you go inwards and you pray deeply and you let go of the mind, let go of the emotions, and go to soul level, and you really see that picture of God and golden white light within yourself, and you feel it, and it's beyond the physical. When you let that holy energy into you, you can then connect to other sources of holy energy within other people. But if that person doesn't have a mental connection to it, and you tell them about it or interact with it, it's gonna look like you're interacting with something that doesn't even exist to them. So you look crazy, and then you create confusion and whatever else, or they believe you and they're like, I don't know how to do it. Like I need you to like connect me, and then like they become reliant on you. All that jazz is just creates karma. So in order to connect with someone at a soul level, you got to have like a reciprocal kind of dive into the non-physical together. So you experience these things together and then come back out of it into the physical reality, so you can fall in love and like, don't let the emotions overwhelm you, and like, or let them overwhelm you and then feel the healing energy from it and then come back into the physical. But if you can't navigate those with somebody, it's just going to create trauma bonding, and that's not good for anybody, right? So anyway, so this one was about how like physical energy is separate, and whenever it meets a paradox, it's actually experiencing other dimensional energy that can be understood. And it's not really that complicated. It's just that the way the non-physical energy works, it's like it has less rules than the physical. Like oneness, like how is everything one and all together? Like there's no like colors or separate sounds. It's just all one thing. And then like, how do you make sense of it, right? Well, the brain wants to make sense of things in a step-by-step order. So you can't step-by-step all, because every step's contained in all of them. So that paradox that I'm talking about right there is a soul energy understanding. And so, yeah, learning that that kind of mind loop, all is one and one is nothing, and I'm nothing and I'm all, and like we're one and you're one, and all that stuff is like, you're talking about fifth dimensional energy, which doesn't really have a place in the third dimension unless you create a bridge from the physical to the non-physical. So you have to put an emotional container around that. You can't just it's kind of hard to explain that, but you have to have a purpose for why you're saying it that benefits the physical. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Or else don't tap into it, because it just makes you look crazy.